you very much.
Washington.
I was working on it today. I must have just killed it.
Look what I'm going to break open.
Oh.
Are you ready for this? I wasn't going to give you this one.
That's okay.
Look at this. This is pretty nice, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's quite a set. And then the...
I know you paid for this one.
yeah, I mean, really nice. And then the flashlight.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I remember getting one of those years ago when you get the lead pencil that you turn, you know. I think we're ready to rock and roll. Can I have your attention, please? We'll be starting up shortly. Good evening and welcome to the Lowell Planning Board for Monday, January 6, 2025. Happy New Year to all. I want to start off by welcoming our two new associate planning board members. We have Mr. Tulsar and Jovithan Cardoza Silva. So we want to welcome them to the board and wish them well. So the first matter on the agenda would be the approval of the December 2nd, 2024 minutes. Any of the board members have any comments? I know there was a couple of corrections done when we first had them sent out. One or two board members just made a small minor adjustment on. So any questions on that minute?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the revisions that were presented.
A second.
Motion made, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving along on the agenda. 1733 Middlesex Street, a site plan revision. Tran Management LLC has applied to the Lowell Planning Board to revise their site plan revision approval at the above address. On June 17, 2024, the applicant was granted approval to expand the rear parking area. The applicant is now proposing to revise the site plan by constructing an addition to the existing building. The subject property is located in the Regional Retail Zoning District. The proposal requires site plan review approval from the Lowell Planning Board per section 11.4.2 of the Lowell zoning ordinance. Our new associate members won't be voting on this matter because they weren't board members or present at the last hearing. So just be the full 4 board members present this evening. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kevin Murphy, 63 Newbury Street, Lowell, Massachusetts, for the petitioner. We were here previously and presented the plans relative to the expansion of the restaurant, which I believe is such a great thing to happen. The biggest issue that came up was relative to parking at the facility. And I talked about how great the neighbors were. And my memory is the last thing that we left with at this meeting before we continued it to this date was if we could come up with a letter from one of the neighbors that said that we had the additional parking available to them for any overflow necessary. And I was able to work with the Lowell Youth Soccer Association. I sent a copy of the letter to DPD. Has everybody received a copy of the letter? I have copies here if you need them.
Yeah.
And it's a great letter. We actually went down and counted out the parking spaces that are available at the parking lot. And there's 125 spaces, which we believe is far more than necessary. The Lowell Youth Soccer Association has committed that we would be able to use the parking spaces on any time except Saturdays during their seasons when they are participating in the youth sports. Also, they're going to give us a key to the gate. I drove down there on Saturday. There's a gate that blocks entrance to the parking lot unless you have the key. And they're going to have the key that's going to allow them to open up the parking lot whenever it's necessary. Whenever there's a function, we plan on having valet parking. Also signage in conjunction with the traffic engineer's recommendation that anybody entering this parking lot on Edward Street would come in off Middlesex Street and down Edward Street to the parking lot, rather than going to the back of the China Star Restaurant and going out the driveway. So we're going to, we don't object to that being a condition of any grant of approval here. So I think we've satisfied the concerns of the board. It's a great opportunity to expand an existing restaurant in the city of Lowell. Mr. Lee has been a great business person in the city of Lowell, and we're just hoping that you approve this expansion with the conditions that we comply with the letter as forwarded by the Lowell Youth Soccer Association and the transportation engineer. Any questions? I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you. At this point in time, anybody here this evening like to speak in favor of this project? Anybody here in favor? In favor? Hearing none? Anybody in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none? This time I'll turn it over to the board members. Any board members have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Attorney Murphy, we did receive the letter, obviously, but then did note from DPD that it's actually the city of Lowell that would be granting the agreement. They are the owners of the property. So are you executing something with the city of Lowell as well, or?
Whatever they want. As you can see, we've been working with the city manager on this issue, and the city manager is in full support of this proposal. And as you can see, the letter is directed directly to the
It's addressed to Manager Goldman, yes.
Right. And whatever we need to do, I'm sure we're going to enter into an agreement relative to maintenance of the parking lot and plowing, because the soccer association doesn't use the parking lot during the winter.
Right.
So we'll be entering into some type of agreement, I'm sure, with the city relative to maintaining the parking lot when we're using it.
And then I am a little concerned because I don't see any lighting over there as well.
Right, we're going to put lighting in to make sure that people who park there,
All right.
I think it's going to be, to be perfectly honest with you, I think it's going to be more of a valet type of parking.
Well, yeah, I heard you say that. I like that idea better than patrons walking down Edward Street
Right.
into that back lot. And there's no lighting, so.
Right, but we're going to put lights in as necessary.
So your client's going to pay for put lights in on the city property, is that?
Well, no, we can put in like temporary lighting
Okay, all right.
to, for certain functions or overflow parking to make sure that it's well lit for people to walk from that parking lot to the restaurant.
Okay.
I went down there last Saturday. I think it's a better idea to have the valet parking,
I would agree. No.
and that's what my client is willing to do, especially since you can go, and we're going to come in right off Middlesex Street. But still, I think in the wintertime, it's going to be quite a walk for some people. And I think valet is going to be a better option than anything else. But we obviously know about the lighting, and we'll provide lighting as necessary.
Okay. And then, it is site plan review. I saw your client did move the dumpster. Don't know if you were aware of that, but they did move the
That's the first thing I looked at when I went down there Saturday. It looked pretty clean.
Well, see, here's unfortunately, I went down there on Sunday.
Oh, Saturday must have been a busy night. Well, you have my word, I will take care of this.
I appreciate that, but that happened the last time too, and I know to me, that's a concern because, under the conditions of the site plan review, obviously, it becomes just as much a public health
Right.
issue. And according to our zoning ordinance as well, part of the requirement is to ensure that raccoons and rodents won't get to the trash. And honestly, if you look at, I circled the picture, there's a squirrel sitting right on top of the trash that's
It's
Right on the
amazing,
floor.
because I went down there Saturday morning, and the first thing I did was to check out the dumpster,
Right,
because it was fine.
right.
You have my word that I will follow up. Do you see that there? See what he's talking about? That's totally unacceptable.
This is the second time. Yeah.
Totally unacceptable, and the board will not allow that to happen.
Because again, it's the second time.
I agree with you 100%, and I'm as frustrated as you because I'm caught unaware of it.
Sure, no, understood.
Because I wanted to make, like I say, I wanted to make sure it was okay when I went down there, and it was.
I mean, I like this new location better than where it was.
Right.
Absolutely. I
has
think it
to
should have been shown in the site plan review, the site plan proposal here. But it seems to make sense. It seems to be easier for the trucks to even pick it up.
Yeah.
But obviously, I have a concern with, it seems like just, honestly, a lack of taking it seriously.
Well,
You know,
I'm not, like I say, I'm not saying he isn't taking it seriously. All I'm saying is that on Saturday it was fine.
Right.
And now the pictures you're showing me are complete opposite of what I saw on Saturday, but
Right.
I will make sure that is attended
It's
to.
full now. How full is it gonna be with the new occupancy?
Yeah, and again, concerning is, the concerning thing is that, and part of our requirement, and actually, I did take pictures for the new one, is, you're going to increase the capacity of the restaurant, and this is at its current size and current capacity. And I'm questioning, and that was one of the comments from DPD, is whether or not even this is large enough to really properly handle the amount of
You could-
garbage.
You could make a condition on the grant that the health department will monitor it, and we will abide by any recommendations of the health department relative to the dumpster and the materials set off there.
Sure. I mean, because again, it is part of site plan review, so.
Yep. I don't have a problem with it, but I'm just saying is that you could make that condition that we would have to comply with any and all Board of Health regulations relative to the dumpster.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I apologize.
Well, I figured, Counsel, you would take, I mean, I brought it up twice, so
Right.
figured you would be looking at that. And actually, I was happy to see the new location. I do think it should have been on the site plan, but
Right.
Again, I was happy to see the new location. In the bollards that were put there, because if you notice where it was before, the fence was damaged.
Yep.
From the truck going in there, it really didn't look good. It wasn't attractive for people parking in the back and walking up to the restaurant. But obviously, now, I do a lot of business in other towns. A lot of the requirements are you put a gate on these encasements around the compactor, and you screen it. Now, I know it's a pain, and I've
They
seen
hate
it.
it.
I know that, because then the drivers
get
have
out
to
of
have the.
truck. They have to
Absolutely.
open the gate. I have it at my office, is that we always wanted to put a gate around
Yep.
our dumpster. And they said no, because the driver has to get out of the truck, open
Understood.
up the gate, empty the trash, and then close the gate. So I understand what you're saying, but I would agree that a condition should be attached to any approval that we have to comply with the Board of Health regulations relative to disposal of trash at the premises.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Caleb, any questions, comments?
So, I agree with, with Vice Chair, comments, and, appreciate the work on the parking. I think, that seems fine to me. The trash issue is addressed, and being addressed, and, I will be supportive of a, condition on that one. And I think last time, when you come before us, I discussed a little bit about the plantings on the side of the property. So I suppose I would just suggest a condition to work with DPD on the landscaping.
Yeah.
And maybe with attention to the Edward Street side of like screening. I know it will be quite close to the street, but aside from that, you seem to have addressed all of the issues. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll certainly agree to that type of condition.
Thank you, Caleb. Danny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess following up on Jerry's thoughts, how often are the dumpsters emptied?
How often are the come up here? Come up here. How often are they empty? Tell me.
3 times a week.
3 times per week.
Okay.
No.
Following up on what Jerry was saying is if you're adding more seats, you're adding more people, you're adding more trash, this is going to have to be emptied more than 3 times a week, based on what we're seeing. You have a small area with a small dumpster there. So I think one of the conditions, Jerry, it should be more than 3 times a week, maybe 4.
Can I
And if
suggest
they're,
just what the Board of Health determines
if
is
they're-
an appropriate amount?
well, I have a couple of questions, I guess, or a couple of thoughts on that. The condition that they comply with the Board of Health is a condition that they have to meet anyways, whether we put it in there or not. But I would specifically want it as a condition, and they did, look, he's doing a great business. I appreciate the fact that he's working with the city to gain additional parking, which is good. They need it. I drove by on Sunday. I couldn't get in the lot at Sunday at 12 noon. So, doing a good business. He can afford to get the dumpster emptied more often. So, you know, I'm not necessarily willing to leave it up to somebody else. Ultimately, we're passing this. So my thought is it should be emptied more often. I like the idea of the temporary lights. Attorney Murphy, I think that's a great idea. The valet, I did notice that, I'm glad you brought it up. I did notice that in the 2012 decision where he got relief to have less parking. I did see that, and I think that's a great idea. That should be done. But I also think one other thing, just following up on the letter and what Vice Chair Frechette was talking about was, I think we would want to see some sort of an agreement for the protection of the city, and I think that needs to be a condition, that there be, 1, an agreement, and 2, just setting out what the responsibilities are. And I know, Attorney Murphy, you can deal with that with the city manager and the law department, but I think that should be a condition as well.
We'd agree to 4 removals per week, if that would make it okay.
Well,
That would increase it by 1 or
It-
whatever you want.
it would increase it by 1. I don't know, they're busy, and that's a small dumpster. I was surprised by the size of the dumpster, to be honest with you, given the level of business. So I think more is better. I wouldn't mind if it was 5, and that way there you wouldn't have a problem. And
Can't hear you. I don't understand what you're saying. Sure, if you want 5, we'll 5. It's fine.
I just think it's a good idea, especially, you know, one of the pickups needs to be on the weekend,
Yeah.
because they've got a lot going on.
Yeah, obviously, because it was good on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
Believe it or not, the busiest day for this restaurant is Sunday.
I don't doubt it. I've driven
Because
by
the clientele
on Sundays.
works so hard all week long, and then Sunday is the day to celebrate, and they go for the dim sum. So that's why Sunday is so busy.
Yeah.
That's probably why it was clean when I was there on Saturday. But certainly would agree to 5.
But I do appreciate, Attorney Murphy, you working with the city and your client working with the city on this. Parking is needed. He does a great business, and obviously, we want that to continue. We just need it to be continued in a reasonable manner.
Yep, no problem. I understand.
Anything else, Dan? No? No. Yeah, I mean, looking at the dumpster situation, I mean, this is the second time that we've noticed that it's been overflowed and hasn't been taken care of. And the fact is that now, the proposed addition increases the number of seats in the restaurant by over 100, including 60 seats and new event space area for a total of 210. So if you're putting in another 60, and we have trash like this on 3 days a week, obviously you're gonna need at least 2 more days a week, in my opinion. And I like to say, you know, the dumpster situation does fall under site plan review, so whatever the Board of Health does, but that controls us. I mean, basically, looking at this, we can deny the site plan because of this.
I agree with you.
I'm just like
I'm
the owner.
embarrassed.
I mean, this is enough here for us to say, no go.
I'm embarrassed by what
I
my
mean,
client allowed.
strike one, strike two.
Yeah,
So, and I'll tell you, if we go up there again and we say this, we're calling you back here.
yeah. I don't
And we can
blame-
revoke the site plan.
I don't blame you. I don't
I
blame you.
mean, Counselor knows what I'm talking about. I'm not, you know what I mean? It's,
As my father used to teach me, I can explain it for you, but I can't understand it for you.
yeah, but I mean,
And I'm going to try and make him understand
Bec-
that this is serious business.
because if you have rodents in the dumpster, where do you think they're going next?
Right, exactly.
In the building,
Yeah, exactly.
okay?
Yeah,
And that's going to impact your whole business.
Yep.
I mean, and if you add in this whole new addition, that Mr. Duchette said, you should have enough money to pay for the dumpster.
Yeah.
If you can't handle the dumpster, then we can just deny the site plan on this alone,
yep.
you know? And like I say, since it's the second time, it's a concern,
Yep.
you know?
But like I say, I'm embarrassed.
Sure.
Because I went there
Well,
on.
I know it's not your fault, Counselor, but I know you're the one with the mic, and you're, you know, you're the one who's
Saturday
representing your client.
to verify.
And you showed it to him last time here when Chevy showed you the picture, and it said you'll be taken care of, and, but I mean, you know, and you get the boxes all around and everything else, so, but yeah, I mean, I can understand it, you know, if you get the lighting there, it'd be good for the valet parking. You know, if you get that letter from the city, because technically, as you know, the Lowell Soccer doesn't own the property,
Right.
they use it, so.
We'll
with the
we'll
condition-
work with the city
yeah.
manager to come
Yeah,
up
so if
with
you
it.
get a letter from the city saying the city's okay for you to use the property. Because, yeah, obviously this is addressed to Mr. Golden, but obviously I take it your word that you've had communication with him and he's in favor of it. If not, then he won't give you the letter and that's a condition that won't be met, but.
Right.
So, but yeah, so besides that, yeah, and as Caleb said, if you do the planting on the sides, which we talked about last time, and I believe Matt was no problem with that when he showed us the plans last time, right, Matt? You had no problem with that? Okay, so, I think that's all I have to say, so, unless there be request of the board to approve the site plan.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the site plan with the following conditions. That the applicant will provide valet parking for events and temporary lighting or evening events in the Edward Street parking lot. The applicant will work with DPD to finalize landscaping plan emphasizing the Edward Street side of the property. The applicant shall execute an agreement with the City of Lowell for the use of the Edward Street parking lot. The applicant will, I do have a question, Counsel, you can ask your client. Are the 3 dumpster pickups, are they scheduled pickups? Is that how that works?
Which days?
Which is? Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay, so the applicant will provide a schedule to DPD demonstrating 5 pickups per week of the dumpster.
Yep,
Okay. Including a weekend pickup.
yep. I think Sunday would be the best day.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Tenza. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none. Motion carries. Good luck, Counselor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members.
You're welcome. Okay, the next matter on the agenda is 463 473 Gorham Street. There's been a request for continuance in this matter. DeSantis Development LLC has applied to the Lowell Planning Board to construct a new residential building with 39 units at the above address. The subject property is located in the urban mixed-use zoning district in the multifamily mid-rise overlay district. The proposal requires site plan review approval from the Lowell Planning Board per section 11.4 for development with greater than 3 residential units. We did receive a letter from Attorney Flood requesting that the matter be continued to the February 3rd, 2025 meeting.
Do we have room, Dylan?
I'm sorry?
February 3rd, do we have room?
Yeah, is that on the schedule? Is that on Monday night?
Well, you know, I didn't bring my 2025 schedule. Ah.
Peter, I don't have my schedule with me. Is that at Monday night? I know one time before we had a date that someone asked for and it was off by it.
You know, let me-
Well, it should be the first February meeting in February, right?
Okay.
It is the 3rd, yep.
Okay, so,
Yep.
February 3rd.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to continue the matter to February 3rd.
Okay, so the associate members be able to vote on this as well? Actually, one of you can for a total of 5, so you guys can pick.
So I want a property right next to that.
Okay, so you don't want to vote? Okay, so we'll have televote on it then, okay? Gotcha, all right. So, I'm sorry, so we have a motion made by Attorney Tenzan. I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? So we have Mr. Saab vote as the associate, okay? So that has been allowed, continued to 2/3/25, okay. You want me to read this first, then you can step on, okay? You want me to read it first, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next matter on the agenda, excuse me, is 357 Pawtucket Street. It's a special permit and a site plan review. Franco-American Holding LLC has applied to the Lowell Planning Board to construct a 80-unit mixed-use building at the above address. The subject property is located in a traditional mixed-use zoning district. The proposal requires special permit approval per Article 12.1 and Section 11.3 for greater than 11 residential units on a lot, and site plan review approval per Section 11.4 for development with greater than 3 residential units.
Mr. Chairman, before we hear testimony, I will be recusing myself on this petition, so, it is the last item on the agenda, so I will be leaving the meeting. Thank you.
Take care. So, so that means both of our new associate members will be able to vote on this matter. So may we hear from the applicant, please?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Steve Panagiotakis, office at 138 Highland Ave, Unit 5, Lowell. Represent the petitioner, Franco-American Holdings LLC, Brian McGowan, the principal, the owner of 357 Pawtucket Street. Also with us are our attorney, James Harrington, Chris Lazat from Procon, our architects, and Dave Jordan, our engineer. We are before you requesting a special permit and site plan review as stated by the chairman. My client is proposing construction of an 81-unit, 80 residential, 1 commercial, a 6-story L-shaped building that would run along the streetscape of Pawtucket Street and Banning Street. And as stated, the parcel is in the TMU, a multi-use zoning district for the city. The site was purchased by the petitioner in 2018, and since then he has renovated the existing structures with 59 residential units and 1 commercial unit, preserving much of the woodwork, fireplaces, and moldings in that part known as the Air Mansion, one of the most historic and architecturally significant buildings in the city of Lowell. The petitioner also decided to preserve and allow the much-needed renovation for the over 100-year-old grotto and Way of the Cross by granting a gift of a perpetual easement to a large swath of the property so that this urban oasis of prayer and meditation will continue to remain open for the public. These approvals would allow the petitioner to make use of currently underutilized land, which has been nothing more than a storage area, create significant tax revenue for the city, and bring online much-needed market-rate housing. I would ask our engineer, Dave Jordan, to come up to say a few words, and then after that, Chris Lazzotti, our architect.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is David Jordan, engineer and land surveyor with Greenman Peterson in Salem, New Hampshire. I'll just quickly run through some of the highlights on the site plan for you. As was stated, a 80-unit L-shaped building is proposed at the underutilized corner of Pawtucket Street and Fanning Street. The building consists of 2 levels of parking and 4 levels with 4 levels of residential above. Access into the site is going to be off of Fanning Street as it is today. There is a curb cut on School Street which will remain open, and the second curb cut and more utilized curb cut is off of Fanning Street. It's going to be slightly relocated from where it is today, but still remains up near the Pawtucket end of Fanning Street. That driveway will actually pass through the building. It's a little hard to appreciate on the site plan, but when you're entering the site from Fanning Street, you're actually driving past the 2 entrances to the upper level garage with the 4 stories of residential above it. There is a second gated emergency access down at the very end of Fanning Street. That lower level driveway does provide access to the lower level parking area. So we have, again, 2 levels of parking, gated emergency access at the far end of Fanning Street, and that is through discussions with the abutter. Fanning Street is a privately owned way. It is not a city way. And again, through discussions with the abutter that also has rights over that area, that's the agreement that was came to. Both entrances off of Fanning Street provide emergency access. So even through the building, there is adequate height to allow the passage of Lowell's ladder truck to gain access to the site. And we provided plans to demonstrate that. In the construction of this building and additional parking, we are trying to leave as much of the existing site as untouched as possible. Obviously, we have 59 residential units that people will be living there during this construction. We'll be adding some additional surface parking, and as I've mentioned several times, parking within the building itself. By doing that, we are providing 2 parking spaces per residential unit for all 139 units total. So 59 existing, 80 proposed, and we're providing 2 parking spaces per unit. We're also providing parking for the existing office in the historic mansion, and there is a small, about 1,600 square foot commercial space in this new building located at the corner of Fanning and Pawtucket. And parking is available for that commercial use as you first drive into the site off of Fanning Street. Stormwater is being managed through some underground collection and detention systems, providing infiltration of the stormwater. We provided documentation demonstrating that we have no increase in runoff with this project. The existing building does have similar underground systems that have been working effectively for quite a number of years now. So we do have a site that adequately can treat and dispose of the surface water from this additional impervious area. And this is being reviewed by the city's stormwater department. Likewise, utilities, municipal water, municipal sewer. We actually had a meeting with Lowell's wastewater and stormwater group last week. They have some minor comments that they brought up on our design. We'll be addressing those shortly here. But again, they were very, very minor in nature and easily addressed by our office. I do want to mention the landscape plan that was submitted with our site plan. We are showing landscaping around the new proposed building, combination of shrubs and trees. I will note for the board that we today received comments from DPD. There were a number of comments regarding our landscape plan, asking us to make some revisions to it, some suggestions to enhance what we currently have shown on our plan, and I can assure this board that we will do that. We're going to be happy to work with them and provide the landscaping that they would like to see for this building. I mean, this is going to be a very attractive, beautiful building, and will be well landscaped. That all goes hand in hand. With that, Mr. Chairman, I will turn it over to the project architect for a brief presentation on the architecture.
Good evening. My name is Chris Lazar. I'm the architect from Procon. As was mentioned before, it's essentially a 6-story building, 2 levels of parking with 4 levels of residences, apartments above there. The lower level of parking is essentially below grade along Pawtucket. And then, as Dave mentioned, the entrance to the site is through the building at the level 2 parking from Fanning. Basically around the side, and that shows up in one of your renderings. You can see that drive-through. And then the 4 levels of apartments are essentially, there's 80, like Steve mentioned. It's a mix of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. The top floor actually steps in a little bit to help break down the mass. That allows some of those tenants on that floor to have a basically rooftop balcony, rooftop deck up there. Kind of gives you a nice view. And the exterior of the building is essentially a mix of basically the lower level of the building is essentially engineered stone. So it's sort of a similar look to some of the other buildings that are along that street. And then the upper floors are basically a mix of sort of horizontal fiber cement siding or vertical fiber cement siding. And that is essentially, that's essentially the project description in a nutshell.
So I think, Mr. Chairman, with that, we'll conclude our presentation and be happy to answer any questions this board may have. Thank you.
I'll just state, I know we received comments from City Department today. I don't know if you had a chance to look those over. They made a couple of comments. I don't know if you agree with some of them or disagree with them. I think some of them are kind of important. One, they talked about requesting a conditional approval from the landscaping plan, because they indicated that well, first they started off by saying you got approval by the Zoning Board of Appeals in November with 3 conditions. Then they talked about the landscaping plan between what was, the applicant revised the landscaping plan to match the board may wish to require the applicant to revise the landscaping plan to match the landscaping shown on the renderings. The plan should include the street trees along Pawtucket Street and landscaping to screen the parking garage. The board may wish to conditionally approve the landscaping plan. They also say the stormwater comment, that stormwater is requesting conditional approval because they're saying that you need a stormwater permit. Engineering had a bunch of comments. I'm not sure if you're okay with all of those. Talking about removing and reset granite curbing, concrete sidewalks, wheelchair ramp, detailed sheets, proposed utility lines. They have about, and they're saying that the site plan shows a 24-inch sewer main. The engineer's records show a 12. So they want to confirm the sewer main with wastewater. What's the size of the sewer service? Cut and cap sewer and water services. They talked about the fire department needs a sweep path analyst. Stormwater says permit will be required as indicated. Transportation comments as outlined, zoning board of appeals. A trip generation memorandum and transportation demand management plan are required for the project. A road safety audit was completed at the intersection of Pawtucket Street and School Street in 2021. The applicant should review the short-term, low-cost recommendations with the RSA that can be implemented by the applicant that may benefit the new residents on the building. Wastewater comment says, meeting with developer is warranted. Water will require review of the placement of the water lines once this stage is in process. Utility also said there is a municipal sewer on Fanning Street. Average daily flow increase calculations must be provided. Lower level parking will require oil water separation and trench drain per plumbing code. Any comments on those?
Certainly. So let me first start by saying this memorandum is kind of a rolling memorandum, meaning this started when we went to the zoning board. So some of these comments are being carried over from when they were first presented to the zoning board. So kind of just running through these again for you. Regarding the landscaping, as I said, we acknowledge the comments that are in the memo regarding the landscaping, the need to make some revisions to it, and we're committed to do that. The stormwater permit, the stormwater approval, that was discussed with the stormwater group here in the city during our meeting last week, so that is underway. The engineering comments, those, I don't know, it's about 10 bullet items. Those first appeared on this memo when we went to the zoning board. The site plan set that we submitted to this board that you're looking at this evening addresses these items.
Okay.
So that has been taken care of.
Okay.
Fire department, our site plan that we submitted does include the swept path analysis of the fire truck through the site. So again, that was a carryover comment from when we went to zoning board. Stormwater comments, again, we met with them last week and are preparing the stormwater permit that is needed under your local ordinance. Transportation comments, again, this is a carryover. We were aware of this, and as part of our submittal to this board, we did submit a trip generation letter and address the transportation demand management plan for this project. And again, wastewater comments, that they had suggested that a meeting is needed. That was the meeting that occurred last week. We've confirmed with them the size of the sewer mains and are making the corrections on our plan and are giving them the flow calculations to support the design of our sewer connection. So I think, other than the open item primarily of landscaping, I think we've got a good handle on everything else here.
Okay. I mean, I know we did receive a couple of renderings in our packet. I mean, would have been nice to see the renderings here tonight, so not just ourselves, but the public who are watching would weigh in on it. And therefore, when yourself and Chris commented on it, you could have highlighted and pointed out to us. So sometimes it's nice when you bring the renderings in so we can all see it and comment at the same time. So,
Yeah, we apologize for that. We thought that they would be on the screen tonight because we submitted a.
sometimes what you do, you can bring it to staff and they will put it there and they'll pop it up.
Okay.
Yeah, if you bring them, what do you want to call it, the disc or the stick, whatever you
Flash
call
drive,
it
yeah.
these days. So, okay. All right, so at this time, what I'll do is I'll open it up to the public, then I'll ask the planning board members for their comments. So, at this point in time, anybody like to speak in favor of this project?
Yep. Good evening, gentlemen. I'd like to welcome the new two board members over there. Jarvis, nice to see you. Evening, planning board officials. Tonight I'm here before you as president and founder of the Action Group Acre Coalition to Improve Our Neighborhood. Brian McGowan has renovated and/or built many places in Lowell and in our amazing Acre neighborhood. Brian and his company TMI have always done an exceptional job on every project, going above and beyond the scope of work expected. His commitment to quality and detail is amazing. His last endeavor, the renovation of the Franco-American and the preservation of the iconic grotto, shows testament to that. I'm here tonight to just speak in favor of the next great building by Brian in our awesome neighborhood. I request that you please vote in favor to continue the transformation and vision of the Upper Merrimack Street and the Pawtucket Street corridors in our Acre neighborhood. Thank you very much.
You forgot to state your name, even though we know who you are. But
Oh, David Willett,
good to see you again, David.
yeah, 113 Cabot Street, Lowell.
Yeah.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Anybody else like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Anybody in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none? At this time, I'll turn it over to the board members. Caleb, if you don't mind if I start with you?
Oh, sure. I have a few questions. So, wait for. So you mentioned that, let's see, that you have provided a trip generation letter. Have we received one? And also whether the transportation engineer seems not to have commented on it yet. So that's one thing that I would like to get feedback from. And if you have it available, maybe you can summarize it. I mean, that's something that will be preferred to be reviewed before the meeting.
Yeah, so it was included in our submittal back on December 9th, along with our site plan. So basically, to summarize, in terms of trip generation, they took a look at the peak hour traffic for the 80 new residential units. Let's see, weekday AM peak hour, 27 new vehicle trips are expected, 8 entering, 19 exiting. During the weekday AM peak hour, 51 new vehicle trips, 30 entering, 21 exiting during the weekday PM peak hour, and 41 new vehicle trips, 21 entering, 20 exiting during the Saturday midday peak hour. On a daily basis, the proposed development is expected to generate 624 new vehicle trips on a weekday, 508 vehicle trips on a Saturday. And that was using ITE land use code for multifamily housing mid-rise construction. And trip generation calculations were submitted along with the letter. So both the backup calculations and a summary table. And then a separate section addresses the traffic demand management, talks about site location, sidewalk infrastructure, public transportation, resident information, bicycle storage, and there was a 2021 road safety audit that the city undertook of the Pawtucket and School Street intersection area. In that road safety audit, there was a number of recommendations that were made, and we were asked early on to consider implementing, some of those recommendations, and we are willing to work with city staff to identify which ones would be appropriate for this project to address. It appears that some might have already been addressed, so we didn't want to start picking and choosing. We'd rather work with city staff and come to an agreement on what makes sense for a project of this scope.
Okay, thank you. We'll check with staff whether, is it in our packet or somewhere that that letter is included, or?
I can submit this for the record this evening, and then
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Just give it to Peter, please. Thank you. Oh, do you want to see it first, Caleb?
No, I think it's good. It's good summary
Okay.
already, and I appreciate the willingness to work with the city on the road audit implementations. So so we'll probably include that as a condition to work with DPD. But I think that will address my concern with the from the city transportation engineer, although I will leave it to the rest of the board to decide what to do about it, because ideally we would like to hear from the engineer comments before we approve the project. Moving on to other issues, seems like from the plan set on the last page with the cross-sectional, there is some mechanical equipment that will be on top of the roof, but I don't see in the rendering. Just want to get an idea whether that's a conceptual thing or is it going to be there.
Yeah, that's essentially a conceptual thing. For these type of units, generally, they're just small condenser units that are typically on the roof. So we kind of show that just to give an idea there's going to be something, but it isn't of any magnitude that would distract from the building.
And would it need, say, the mesh on the side to block it, or you won't see it from the street
No,
side?
you won't see it because they're always located along the corridor in the middle of the building.
Oh, okay. Got it. I mean, I'm aware that there are towers next door, but there will be typical roof equipment,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
most of it you'll never see because a lot of it's only
On the,
3 feet tall, yeah.
got it. Thank you. Let's see, thank you very much. Have the applicant received any comments from, I think the House of Prayer on the back? House of Hope. Whether supportive or.
We had some conversations with them during the zoning board process, and they didn't oppose us.
Okay.
They were fine.
Yeah, because I read the comments from staff and saying the scale is reasonable, but I see, okay, the House of Hope is smaller, and although I recognize there is still some distance from the lot, and you will have some landscaping on it. So my hope is maybe when you're working with this, not as condition, but just a suggestion that when you work with DBD on a landscaping plan, work with them and see how you can shade it, because now you have a garage entrance facing them, right? And then with a tower on top.
No, we appreciate that. Brian's had a great relationship with them over there, helping them and them supporting it.
Okay, thank you. One last thing for me. I see that there's the sweep path analysis for the fire truck. So the fire truck is one of the path will be going under the building, right?
That's correct.
So the height will clear it.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you very much.
Danny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My biggest concerns were somewhat addressed by your presentation, but they're not fully addressed in the sense that I've got a lot of departments here that say they need information, they need a sweep path analysis, which you said that you had provided. We don't have a sign off from the fire department. Stormwater had questions. The water department had questions. It sounds like you guys have pulled it all together. It's just what we get today, January 6th, dated January 6th, dated today, puts us kind of in a bind. I don't honestly think we can vote on this, Mr. Chairman, based on all of the things that supposedly we're missing here. And, you know, the proponent is indicating that they've gone through these. I guess my only suggestion is you mentioned the traffic engineer. The traffic engineer should be able to give us his interpretation of what you had submitted. That's one. Two, you mentioned the RSA for that corner. As we all know, anybody that's traveled that corner, it's interesting, that intersection. You know, I guess my suggestions would be is to try to firm that up before I can vote on this. I think we want to hear from the departments to basically back up what you're saying. Hey, listen, we've met with them. We're good with this. This is a 24-inch main or a 12-inch main. We don't know. We're just going by what you say. Let me go to the project itself. Love it. Absolutely love it. First project in a while that I've seen that actually has parking, which was refreshing in Lowell. I like the concept. I like the underground parking. The 4 stories. I think it'll fit in well. I appreciate what the landowner is doing for the city. The Franco-American was a nice project, done well. As the senator mentioned, they really did a nice job keeping and preserving some of the things that are important, not just for money. It's, you know, it's for the people, the community. So really appreciate that. I love the project, but, Mr. Chairman, I can't vote on this unless we get something updated from all of these departments. And I apologize for that.
No, we appreciate your comments. Thank you very much.
I just want to say that when this memo was sent, the applicant's correct, it's a rolling memo. When this was sent back out, when it was coming to the planning board, we had asked the city staff and we noted for them that it's the same comments, please add new comments or revise as appropriate. So that anything that's on there that was on before, it means maybe they didn't look at it or maybe they haven't met with the applicant yet, but it seems there is some confusion about when the comments were added since it was a rolling memo.
So were most of these comments from the ZBA meeting then?
It looks like most of the comments were from the
Or those are
ZBA.
the ones that they gave for the ZBA, and then this,
Yeah,
those
and
are the
when
ones
we,
that just sent along to us, whether they made the changes or not?
right, and in December when it was sent back out, because it's kind of just like a Google Doc, the staffer who was assigned to it, I don't know off the top of my head, said, please revise or add your comments after its approval, and it looks like some departments just might have not updated it.
Thank you for that, Peter. All right. Anything further,
Unfortunately,
Dan?
it might be the time of year, maybe the holidays, I think really may have played a role in all of this.
Okay. Anything else, Dan? No? Tal, you have any questions or comments?
No, I agree with
Okay.
Mr. Hensa
Okay.
that we need more of a, check off by the city that this plan is fine with what they
Okay, thank you. Joe Bisson, any questions? No. Okay, so, so I guess the question would be whether you're willing to come back when we have the updated comments. I mean, it looks like, sounds like you've met most of them.
Yeah, we would, sooner rather than later, though. I don't know when your next meeting is or when the city's timeline would be to get back that
Let's see,
information.
well, we usually meet the first and third Monday of the month, but since the 2 weeks from now is Martin Luther King Day, so we get bumped to the Thursday, which is the 23rd. What do we have on that night, Peter? Do we have a lot on?
No, we only have 684 Westford Street that we just did the zoning for, the actual project that night.
Is that a probable time period to get the information back from?
I mean, not, as long as you guys already met with a lot of those departments, so I don't think that it should be an issue.
So would that be, obviously, it sounds like you people updated everything, it's just a matter of the staff comments haven't. So any problem with us?
No.
Continue to the 23rd?
No.
Okay. And-
One more question.
Sure, go ahead.
You help to locate the bike parking for me, if, or whether it's on the plan or conceptually?
I believe it's on the plan, but let me check. I was actually asked the same question at another meeting in another town last week, and admittedly had forgotten that. Yeah, no, we do not show it, but we will provide that probably in a couple locations. We could provide some at by the commercial space, and we could provide some interior as well.
Thank you.
So we'll update the plan for the next meeting.
Okay. So,
Yeah, and I'd like to thank the proponents for their willingness to continue this, because this is a good project. We just need more information, that's all.
No, understandable.
okay. So I'll make a motion that we continue the matter to our next meeting, which will be Thursday night, January 23rd, 2025.
Seconded.
Motion is made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion carries. So next time, if you want to bring some renderings, you can speak with Peter, and we can put them up on the screen. I mean, that way, when you're describing things, it's easy to take a peek and look at it, and that'd be helpful. So, thank you very much. Check with staff, they can tell you. Yeah.
What would you say, Dylan?
I think they sent the materials for the screen to Fran, but she's been out for Christmas and then she was on
got
vacation
you.
after that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can follow up on that and double check. Oh, thank you very much. Good night, thank you. Okay. So at this point in time, moving along in the agenda, any other board members have any updates from any of the other boards that they sit on at this point in time? Hearing none? Anything from,
Just briefly, the Community Preservation is meeting this week, I don't know the date, Thursday. They're also meeting on the 23rd, the same date we're meeting.
we take precedent.
What's that?
We take precedent.
I agree. I totally agree. That's what I told them. No, we're meeting, hopefully we can sort through what projects we want to recommend to the city council. I think the only other thing we were talking about is we have some vacancies on one or two other boards. Do we have? Is that something we should bring up in a week or two?
Yep,
Okay.
okay. Okay, anything further? You have anything, Kayla? Anything further from our new associates? No? Okay, so we can make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Want a second from somebody over here? Second? Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes yes. We have adjourned. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Okay.